12 News at 10 with Mark Curtis and Caribe Divine starts now.
Blood, sweat, and tears. I'm working my butt off, and then I keep getting bills like this. It's very upsetting.
Tonight, in a story you'll only see on 12 News, a Valley woman is hit with $500,000 in medical bills, all from procedures that she never received. As it turns out, investigators say someone stole her identity and racked up all that debt. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Caribe Divine. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly sat down exclusively with the victim. And Chase, she told you that this has been going on for years.
Caribe, Mark, and it's still going on. When I spoke with the real Jennifer O'Connor tonight, she actually showed me some of those bills that she received. But now that the suspect that authorities say was behind all of this is now behind bars and is facing several charges related to fraud, she hopes those medical bills will stop making it to her front door.
She racked up quite a bit of money.
Jennifer O'Connor has been dealing with it for years.
I'm still getting bills. I don't think this is ever going to go away.
Including this medical invoice she just got Friday.
It was $300 for her ER visit.
One of dozens, all from various medical procedures done at several Valley hospitals that she never went through.
I work for Banner, and I've been working those nights, so no, that wasn't me.
O'Connor, a respiratory therapist, says since 2022, someone was using her name and date of birth to pay for everyday hospital visits and major surgeries.
And I got a bill for over $200,000.
She battled every claim, not paying a cent, but says her employer was garnishing her paycheck to pay for the debt.
It's very upsetting.
Then in 2023, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office got involved.
We're up to about $500,000 worth of fraudulent medical bills.
It turns out the suspect wasn't just using O'Connor's name for medical reasons. When deputies looked up O'Connor's information, it said she had warrants out for her because several police agencies had already arrested the fraud suspect before who gave O'Connor's name to them. Then, when they tried to take the fraudster to jail,
the suspect would fake medical emergency, and therefore law enforcement obviously is going to take precaution.
After watching hours of body camera footage from those previous incidents, they finally got a look at who they say is responsible for this massive case of fraud, arresting this woman, Shannon Smith.
I was at work when I found out, and I told everybody, I'm like, I think they got her.
O'Connor says she never met Smith. But when we asked MCSO, how did the suspect know so much about the victim?
The information was obtained by the victim's ex-husband.
Saying O'Connor's ex dated Smith and claimed he provided her with O'Connor's name, date of birth, and social security number.
I wouldn't think my ex-husband would have done that and with her, you know, shame on them both.
Chase, since it seems that her ex-husband was the one who allegedly gave that suspect all of her personal information and green-lighted this whole scam, is he facing any charges?
Well, Mark, we did ask the sheriff's office about that today, and they said he is currently not facing any charges, but said this whole case is still under investigation, and charges against him could be pending as him being a potential accomplice to this case. But again, they said this is all still under investigation, so those charges could come. I also want to point out that those garnished wages that O'Connor got taken out of her paycheck because of this debt, she said that once she brought up the mistake to her employer, that those wages were brought back into her, so she's made up then and again. She has not paid a single cent to the rest of the debt and is continuing to fight it.
All right, Chase, pretty incredible story. Thank you so much. All right, now to our weather impact forecast. Monsoon storms are fizzling out tonight, but Lindsay, we've got another shot tomorrow, right?
Yeah, actually, our chances will be going up here in the valley tomorrow. We'll be watching storms form along the rim, moving this way by the late afternoon, early evening. Radar nice and quiet now. We did see some lightning to the north of downtown Phoenix a couple of hours ago, but you can see the lower deserts now just left with a couple light showers down across Pinal Pinal County, the valley is dry. Here's the statewide look. Mojave County had the most active radar around Kingman today. Those showers and storms now well below severe limits, and these will continue to wind down through the overnight. Here's a look at our 12 News exclusive monsoon meter for tomorrow. We have a 3 for the valley, indicating that late day chance for a couple isolated thunderstorms plus the potential for some blowing dust. Those storms will start to fire up around noon to 1 p.m. up in the high country and then move to the valley toward the latter half of the afternoon. Mark?
All right, Lindsay, thanks. New details tonight after a shootout involving U.S. Marshals. This happened last Thursday in a neighborhood near Southern and Rural in Tempe. The U.S. Marshals say they were trying to arrest Matthew Walsh on a number of warrants, but Walsh barricaded himself inside a house and opened fire on officers. Authorities say that Walsh later jumped into a neighbor's yard armed with a gun and was shot by officers. Officials say Walsh ultimately died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But after the shooting, smoke started pouring from the home and it caught fire. Tonight, the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Also tonight, 12 News is taking a closer look into the criminal history of the man accused of murdering 3 people in Ahwatukee last week. Phoenix police found 3 bodies after an apartment fire near 48th Street in Ray. Investigators believe the victims were killed the previous day.
Tonight, 12 News journalist Sean Rice is live out at Phoenix PD headquarters with what he's uncovered about the suspect's time in and out of jail. Sean?
Yeah, Mark and Caribe, good evening to you. Phoenix police allege that 30-year-old Chase Chrisman murdered 3 people he knew at an apartment complex in Ahwatukee on July 14th. And tonight, court records are revealing Chrisman had multiple stints on probation in both California and here in Arizona as a multi-time convicted felon. And parole officers in the state of California stated they had no idea where he was on more than one occasion.
It just seems to be a very hands-off, lackadaisical approach to probation. I mean,
It's how former Maricopa County probation officer Beth Golden describes Chase Chrisman's time on probation here in Arizona. Chrisman is pictured here after he was arrested by Glendale police back in 2020 for cutting a fraudulent check to a woman on an item he later pawned for cash. He pleaded guilty to trafficking stolen property, a felony, and was sentenced to 2 years on probation. 5 months later, court records reveal he was convicted of shoplifting and exhibiting a deadly weapon in Ventura County, California. But even with that conviction, his probation here in Arizona was not revoked.
it's not rare that we're seeing just chance after chance after chance instead of a more proactive approach to probation supervision.
The probation department labeled him a medium to high risk to reoffend at the time his sentence was handed down. Court records say he relapsed on drugs in January 2023, but again, his probation was not revoked, and his probation officer claimed he was showing signs of improvement. His probation term here in Arizona ended 4 months later. A year before, he is now charged with 3 counts of murder. Phoenix police believe he is the only suspect in the murder of Samuel Lott, Marissa Honeycutt, and Anthony Fredrickson Secarelli, who were all found dead inside this apartment with signs of trauma. At a hearing over the weekend, a prosecutor with the Maricopa County Attorney's Office asked for a $5 million cash-only bond, in part because of Chrisman's lengthy criminal history.
He has at least 3 prior felony convictions. He absconded from parole from California.
Golden believes a more hands-on approach to his probation supervision, including a stint in jail or prison, could have done him some good.
I think timeouts are sometimes really important to do and just remind the person that, this is serious. We don't want you to hurt anybody. We want you to get clean and sober.
Chrisman's relationship to the 3 victims remains unclear. His arrest documents are sealed. 12 News has learned that was done at the request of Phoenix police because releasing them could jeopardize their ongoing investigation.
And today I reached out to the Maricopa County Probation Department to learn why Chrisman's probation was not revoked on those 2 separate occasions we pointed out. A spokesperson told me they are barred from speaking on his case because of rules set by the Arizona Supreme Court. Tonight, Chrisman remains in the Maricopa County Jail on that $5 million cash-only bond. Live tonight in Phoenix, Sean Rice, 12 News.
Sean, thanks. Tonight, the kind of heartache that no parent should ever have to go through. A Valley father desperately trying to find his 13-year-old daughter, who's been missing now for a month. Jessica Holdzinger ran away from her Phoenix home near 24th Street and Roosevelt and hasn't been seen since. Her father, David, says she accidentally set a neighbor's umbrella on fire and they were threatened with eviction. In the middle of the night, Jessica ran away. David organized a search, and since then, the tips have slowly poured in.
It was in Glendale. There was an 81-year-old woman who answered the door for a young child who was sweating profusely. The kid had asked her for a cup of water, and the lady invited her in her home and gave her a cup of water.
Phoenix police say this is still an active case. Jessica's family has also hired a private investigator.
It's a political shockwave that has upended the race for the White House. Tonight, one day after President Biden announced that he will not seek re-election, Democrats are rallying around Vice President Kamala Harris. The Associated Press reporting tonight that Harris has the support of enough Democratic delegates to become her party's nominee against Donald Trump. We're also learning that Democrats plan to push forward with a virtual roll call before their convention to choose a presidential nominee. Politico is reporting that vote could start as early as next week.
Up next.